blues fans, welcome. Glad you're here. It's time for another episode of This Week in the Blues. It's our weekly take on blues history. I'm your host, Jimbo Big Train Madsen, with the blues band Big Train and the Locomotives. We have a great episode this week, so let's take a look and see what happened this week in blues history.
Chicago blues piano player Henry Gray was born January 19th, 1925 in Kenner, Louisiana. Growing up, he began playing piano and organ in the local church, and his family eventually got a piano for the house. By the time he was 16, he was asked to play at a club near the family home. In 1956, Howlin' Wolf asked Gray to join his band. He quickly accepted the offer and stayed on until 1968. Gray became a session player for Chess Records and recorded or performed with Muddy Waters, Hubert Sumlin, Buddy Guy, James Cotton, Jimmy Reed, and Coco Taylor, among others. Blues vocalist, harmonica player, and drummer Willie Big Eyes Smith was born January 19, 1936 in Helena, Arkansas. Smith learned to play the harmonica at the age of 17 after moving to Chicago, and the next year he formed a trio. In 1955, Smith played harmonica on Bo Diddley's recordings of the Willie Dixon song Diddy Wah Diddy for the Checker label. Drummers were more in demand than harp players, so Smith switched to drums and started playing with Muddy Waters, the first of several stints with Muddy Waters over the years. Chicago blues guitarist Luther Tucker was born January 20th, 1936 in Memphis, and Tucker's family moved from Memphis to Chicago when he was 9 years old. While soft-spoken and shy, Tucker made his presence known through his unique and clearly recognizable guitar style. Tucker helped to define the Chicago blues sound, and while never achieving the fame and notoriety of some of his contemporaries, he was considered one of the most prominent rhythm guitarists of Chicago blues, along with Eddie Taylor, Jody Williams, and Freddie Robinson. New Orleans guitar legend Snooks Egan was born January 21st in 1937. His ability to play a wide range of songs and make them his own earned him the nickname the Human Jukebox. Egan claimed in interviews that his musical repertoire included some 2,500 songs. At live shows, he usually did not prepare set lists and was unpredictable, even to his bandmates. He played songs that came to him on stage and also took requests from the audience. Blues songstress Zora Young was born January 21st, 1948 in West Point, Mississippi. She is distantly related to Howlin' Wolf. Young's family moved to Chicago when she was 7. She began singing gospel music, and as an adult began singing blues and R&B. Over the course of her career, she has performed with Junior Wells, Jimmy Dawkins, Bobby Rush, Buddy Guy, Albert King, and B.B. King. The King of Soul, Sam Cooke, was born January 22, 1931 in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Cooke relocated to Chicago with his family at a young age, where he began singing as a child and joined the Soul Stirrers as lead singer in the 1950s. Going solo in 1957, Cooke released a string of hit songs, including You Send Me, A Change Is Gonna Come, Cupid, Wonderful World, Chain Gang, Twistin' the Night Away, Bring It On Home to Me, and Good Times. During his 8-year career, Cooke released 29 singles that charted in the top 40 of the Billboard Pop Singles chart. Blues singer and songwriter Teenie Tucker was born January 22, 1958 in Dayton, Ohio. She has variously appeared on the same bill with B.B. King, Coco Taylor, Eda James, Buddy Guy, Robert Cray, and Keb Mo. She is the daughter of late blues musician Tommy Tucker. In addition to painting and creating visual art, she continues to record and tour, appearing at a variety of venues and festivals. If you see her name performing somewhere, please go catch her live. You'll thank me later. Harmonica player Hammy Nixon was born January 22, 1908, in Brownsville, Tennessee, and began his music career with jug bands in the 1920s. He's best known as a country blues harmonica player, but he has also played the kazoo, guitar, and the jug. Nixon played with the guitarist Sleepy John Estes for half a century, first recording with Estes in 1929 for Victor Records. He also recorded with Little Buddy Doyle, Lee Green, Clayton T. Driver, Charlie Pickett, and Son Bonds. Huddie Ledbetter, better known as Leadbelly, was born January 23, 1888, on the Jeter Plantation near Silo, Louisiana. Between 1915 and 1939, Ledbetter served several prison and jail terms for a variety of criminal charges. Folklorist John Lomax discovered and recorded Leadbelly in prison. Lomax petitioned the governor for Leadbelly's early release, a note written on the back of Leadbelly's recording of Goodnight, Irene, spawning the legend that Leadbelly had sung his way out of prison, something the state of Louisiana repeatedly denied. Either way, Leadbelly was sometimes referred to as the singing convict. Muddy Waters recorded the classic song Long Distance Call on January 23rd in 1951. Joining him was Little Walter on harmonica and Ernest Big Crawford on bass. This same session also produced Too Young to Know, Honeybee, and Howlin' Wolf. It was first released as a single in 1951 by Chess Records and reached number 8 on the U.S. R&B chart. Muddy Waters' version originates in the song Long Distance Moan, recorded in September 1929 by Blind Lemon Jefferson. Grammy-nominated musician and vocalist Beth Hart was born January 24th, 1972. Hart is known for her visceral, gritty, and soaring and dynamic contralto vocals. Hart also plays piano, guitar, cello, bass guitar, and percussion. She rose to fame with the release of her 1999 single, LA Song, Out of This Town, from her second album, Screamin' for My Supper. Beginning in 2011, Hart has had several well-received collaborations with guitarist Joe Bonamassa, with several topping the Billboard Blues album chart. Blues harmonica player and singer Moses Whispering Smith was born January 25th in 1932 in the town of Union Church, Mississippi. In the 1960s, Smith played harmonica on recordings by the Swamp Blues notables Lightnin' Slim and Silas Hogan, before he was able to record some tracks of his own. Although he was a powerful singer, with a harmonica style that was more straightforward than that of his peers, he hit the mainstream just when Swamp Blues was declining in popularity. He was later inducted into the Louisiana Blues Hall of Fame. James Eda Hawkins, who you know better as Eda James, was born January 25th, 1938. Starting her career in 1954, she gained fame with such hits as The Wallflower, At Last, Tell Mama, Something's Got a Hold on Me, and I'd Rather Go Blind. James's deep and earthy voice bridged the gap between rhythm and blues and rock and roll. She won 6 Grammy Awards and 17 Blues Music Awards. Blues singer, guitarist, and evangelist Blind Willie Johnson was born January 25th, 1897 in Pendleton, Texas. Like his contemporary, Blind Lemon Jefferson, Johnson channeled the expressiveness of the blues into his religious message. An important aspect of Johnson's recordings was his bottleneck guitar technique, which was immediately influential on Robert Johnson and Howlin' Wolf. He punctuated his music with total control and sense of timing, often using the guitar as part of his harmonic phrasing, particularly on his Dark Was the Night, Cold Was the Ground. Blues guitarist Sleepy John Estes was born January 25th, 1899 in Ripley, Tennessee. His music influenced such artists as the Beatles, Bob Dylan, and Led Zeppelin. At the age of 19, while working as a field hand, he began to perform professionally, mostly at parties and picnics, with the accompaniment of harmonica player Hammy Nixon and guitarist and mandolin player James "Yank" Ratchell. By the time blues historians tracked him down in 1962, he was completely blind and living in poverty. Estes, Nixon, and Ratchell appeared at the Newport Folk Festival in 1964. Well, blues fans, we just covered some of the highlights here. Now, if you want to know more about these artists or all the other things that happened this week in the blues, be sure to follow our social media pages or visit our website at bigtrainblues.com. We'll have a new episode next week, so we'll see you then.